All right, we are now recording. Just let everyone know.
No host yet.
Did you guys meet last week, or did everyone take a break?
It was a break, I think, because everyone was in Berlin at that time. Yeah, so a couple of us showed up to an empty room. So there you go. Well, does anyone have anything we want to talk about since we're all here? How did Berlin go? Missed it last week. Are our live streams going to come from there? Because I didn't see those.
Yeah, those in Berlin, maybe tell us how Archon went and everything while we're waiting for.
Maybe not.
I was there. I thought it went great. This week we found out that the demo necessarily wasn't on chain, but I think the technology and the capabilities of what it can be is definitely visible. So that's very exciting. And I decided to join on this call today just because I am very excited about our song and Resonate. So I kind of wanted to get familiar with what you guys are working on.
Can you introduce yourself?
Yeah, sorry.
Nora, you're more than welcome. No worries.
No, that you should please introduce yourself, and then I'll say some more.
That would be Jason.
Oh.
Yeah, that's me. Nora, we actually met in the lobby.
Oh.
In the hotel that
of course we did. Okay, yeah. Sorry. I can't see you. So okay. Well, yeah, it was amazing. I mean, the collection of minds and goodwill and ideas, people was incredible, obviously. And the demo was successful for the spatial audio, which was just super cool to be part of. And I've never seen such a collection of really talented, interesting, focused people before. It was just panel.
And you came off of 2 weeks of talented, focused, interesting people. If you want to describe a little bit of the Tiny Orchestral Moments situation, especially the fact that we have 27 tracks recorded in the spatial audio for the first time in the world outside of the creators. There was an independent recording session at Ron Jones Sky Muse Studios, and Ron Jones is the composer for Family Guy and Star Trek Next Generation, and he's moved up to the Seattle area. And we had a Tiny Orchestral Moments recording session with their spatial microphone. This spatial microphone is such that it records the air in the room, so that when it comes down to your headphones, especially with the head tracker, you are in the room and people are playing to you. So we had 25 musicians, including Nora, to come and record. Nora, why don't you describe that day?
Yeah, I got to do a tiny speech on the morning of day 2 at the convention, and actually got to mention this. But yeah, so this microphone is very interesting. It records the movement between the musicians in the room, as well as their actual spatial relativity to the microphone, and it can record the height. So like, for example, there was one moment in the recording session when 25 of us decided to lay down on the ground and play music. So the microphone was above us. So the idea being that when the listener puts the headphones on and they have the correct mix, that the sound will actually come up to them from the floor. It won't be here. It'll be like down at their feet, coming up at them. So that was a very cool experience. And I think we're all headed in the right direction here. Maybe somebody else should say something who was there.
Well, the other thing about the recording session is it's like we're back 100 years. It's 1918 type production methods, because, you know, the old days when you had a big gramophone horn, and the way you made a mix was to bring something, the loud things farther away and the soft things closer. And this is where we were there. We had to actually rediscover playing in a room together. And if like the guitar is too soft, guitar amp's too soft, you bring it closer. And the other things we found is that the spatial microphone has a personal space as well. So you don't want, just as if you are, you know, playing up, if you play too close, it's like you're right in the face of the listener. And so there was several structural rediscoveries of actually playing in the room. The other things that were amazing is that once you finish the performance, the mix is done. It's complete. There was really no way, if you were close miking and put into a mix, to replicate this experience. We had the microphone mapped to the control room with 5 Focal speakers around. And when you were sitting in the middle of that, you were actually in the other room. It was a audio hologram, actually. And when people were just talking and walking around the room, there was a couple on the couch behind me in the control room. And I really couldn't distinguish whether it was them talking or the people in the other room. Yeah. So what we're on the crux of is just absolutely remarkable. And that really this has been in stealth for 4 years. So it's just now and only through the Resonate and Archain world that it's being exposed to the world for the first time after. And so I'm just thrilled to pieces to see it. So there you go. That's my report.
Well, there's one other thing too that I wanted to add, and then maybe we can move on to something else if people want to move on, or we can keep talking about it. But another amazing thing was, if you guys saw the demo in Berlin, the demo that they played, I played violin on that for the California Guitar Trio. And that was not recorded in 3D. So that was recorded in just regular 2D with, like, you know, regular studio setup. But after that, they're able to mix it into 3D. So basically, you have a couple of options when you use this technology. You don't have to do the gramophone technique, although if you can record that way, it's pretty awesome. So anyway.
It allows for that. It also allows, on a business standpoint, you remember when CDs first came out?
No, I don't.
You weren't born yet. I remember when CDs first came out. And you'd go to a tower and there would be 5. And then there would be 17. And you say, oh, good, Human League Dare is out. And so you get that. And as soon as these things happen, you would buy these magical little discs that didn't skip. And it turned out that the recording industry had a benefit of replacing all their old music with CDs. So there's another potential for media replacement in the world. So there's that.
Does anybody else want to share their experience in Berlin or something else? And where's Peter? Does anybody know?
He may have family issues today.
Oh, I see. Oh, Daryl is here now. I was wondering if Paul was going to join on, but Paul is maybe on tour, so I'm not sure if he can join. Daryl, we're talking about Berlin. I just saw that you came on. Do you want to talk to the people about your experience in Berlin?
Hi.
Hi.
Yeah, it was amazing. I hadn't been to Berlin in 18 years, and there's a lot more glass. There's a lot more glass buildings, and bikes. Holy smokes! Yeah, so it was really cool. It was really cool finally meeting the team in the flesh and getting a chance to hug everybody. That was awesome. And yeah, lots of other things. I don't know how to even start.
Was there maybe you could say something about a presentation that you enjoyed or something for people who weren't there? Maybe you could say something about something like that or a good takeaway that you got, maybe.
Yeah, I guess the takeaway is that there's lots more to work on, and we're at a kind of a different stage, different level where I think we're going to be working things out. So yeah, there's I think lots of things were determined during it.
Okay. Well,
Very vague, but that's okay.
as we're hostless, I think I'm going to pop off as well, and we'll see you all around.
Steve, come back.
I'm
Oh
still
well.
here. Oh, other Steve. Haha.
Oh, and
All right.
some people are leaving. Oh, this is sad. Okay.
Yeah, Peter couldn't make it today.
I see. Well, Fabian is on the call. Fabian was in Berlin and he was in every single session. I think I saw him every place, maybe more than one place at one time, which I'm not sure if that's possible, but if anybody could figure it out, it'd be Fabian.
I'll just chime in and say that it was really, really wonderful connecting with so many faces that I see regularly on Zoom. Real personal and authentic connections took place while we were in Berlin. There's a big dream being dreamt. There's a lot of coordination that needs to be put into place. And I'm hoping that in the weeks to come, a lot of things will be clarified as we know which direction we're collectively going in.
Where is Greg today? I wish Greg was here to talk about this because
Greg is away on holiday.
Oh, of course
He's on vacation. He's on vacation. So yeah.
Of course. Okay. Well, okay. Well, I don't know. Okay.
Hi, Ned.
Hey, how's it going? So Berlin was great. Got to meet everybody, or a lot of people. Had some meetings with Claire and Nacho, and looking forward to continuing those conversations. I have a meeting scheduled with David Otto for next week in San Francisco. So I'm looking to get a lot more clarity on TGEs, generating events, and other issues surrounding our token economy.
I really enjoyed having sushi breakfast with you in the airport.
That was a great event.
It was a great event. It was.
Airport sushi. That sounds like an oxymoron to me.
It was actually really good.
It was really good.
The business requirement is that the content providers, do you guys actually want to pay royalties based on fragments of plays, or do you pay royalties based on entire plays?
I'll leave that for Resonate to answer.
I think there's a threshold, but does Daryl know what it is? I think it's like maybe 30 seconds or something, and then after that it's paid for.
The way I've been visualizing it and describing it, very outside of the realm, but in general, is that with the creative passports, the musicians and utilities are all marked to be paid using smart contracts immediately as the plays occur. So I would say that initially it would probably be the whole thing and then work its way to being fragmentary in a relationship to how much is played. So that's a horizon concept.
So if I want to understand correctly, if I want to preview a song, does that count as a play or not?
I think it would actually, depending on, and then there will be different business models around different methods of compensation. This is more of an ability than a policy question, I think.
I would imagine similar to how YouTube, I believe, if I'm correct, after 30 seconds of listening to content on YouTube, it's registered as a view. And I think something similar is attached to Spotify, that after you've listened to a song for 30 seconds, it is regarded as a listen. So I would recommend that the Resonate team identifies exactly what that should look like, so that when it's time for the economic model to kick in, when the songs are on chain, that we're able to see how monies are distributed.
Yeah, if Ameta, if your question was technical, the answer to that would be yes, we would love to have that capability, because it opens up all sorts of potential avenues of compensation for us. As far as the other question was based around one of the aspects of our model, which is the stream to own aspect, which involves a pay-as-you-go scheme.
Mhm.
But we are also exploring what it looks like we're calling stream to support, which is a subscription model that isn't attached to pay as you go. But regardless, the ability to divide up a song into different fractions opens up all sorts of potential exciting revenue for artists. So, yeah.
Well, let's let her finish. Yeah.
Oh no, I'm just listening. This is where I put my listening cap on.
Oh,
So
okay.
I'm more interested in hearing what you all have to say about this.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure if you were waiting to answer a question. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, I'll chime in and say that I believe that the future blockchain music economy, and please, I want to hear everybody's opinion on this, opposing or supporting, is that when a virtual asset exists in the world, and we'll call it a song for this instance, that virtual asset has people own a piece of that IP, and through the creative passport, someone would be able to say, all right, I own 10%, 20%, the drummer gets this amount, whatever the case may be. And then every single time that song is being played, the distribution of tokens lands in each of their wallets. And in order for that to happen, eventually there will need to be a guide that will say, this is the entry point of walking into the R-chain blockchain music ecosystem, which starts off with get your creative passport, get your digital identity in place, attach it to where your tokens are going to land. Here's my IP attached to all of these various songs. And then as time progresses, people will be able to see that there's more and more, more tokens in their wallet, so to speak. And with the eventual growth of this ecosystem, when it's attached to gigging, gig swapping, ticketing, fans supporting their favorite artists and being rewarded for supporting their artists, that it creates an ecosystem where people are being rewarded for those actions.
And investing work into the blockchain, like adding metadata. That's funny. And there's additional methods of compensation that will come downstream. For instance, the recording engineer can document the gear that every given track has. Like if there's a given kind of a reverb on it, you can make that, and the people that are selling the reverbs can now point to that song as an example of this reverb was used on this track in this song. And that's another compensation mechanism that the people that are selling the reverbs get to compensate back to the artist and the creative team and the utilities that are available on a given track. So there's a lot of community thought and a lot of history that we've had. I've been working towards this solution that's being presented here for 30 years. And done a few different things. That's one of the things I'm most excited about, is that we've always been too early, and now it looks like all of the needs typically says, well, but you need a really strong database, and no one ever had a really strong database. And now all of these other thoughts, when coupled with a really strong database, which is what I believe Arcane is at its core, makes these things all possible. And the possibility is very exciting and makes us have to be very calm, or else we get way too excited. But Meta, does that help?
It does. So let's see. Are you all able to encode the payment checkpoints in the song metadata today for partial payment for partial plays?
Potentially yes. Actually, no.
Okay, can you say that again? In theory, yes. Actually, no. Is that what you said?
I think potentially yes. I mean, actually, we have not done that yet, but the plan is yes. Like the technology is there.
And maybe Claire or Daryl or Nacho would be able to speak to that as well.
Yeah, is Claire on today? I don't see her here, but okay.
Okay, so in the interest of not over-engineering anything, here's what I think we can deliver. What we can deliver is payments for playing a song. So at some point, right, when the song is delivered to the user, it's going to register as a full play. Let's not over-engineer the song delivery software to support incremental, like partial plays yet, because we're not sure that the metadata exists in the song, right? So once the metadata exists in the song, then we'll worry about supporting that metadata. I don't want to put the cart before the horse on this.
Very good. 50,000 foot view.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
So that was a yes, then?
What it means is that we will be able to support delivering the content and charging plays for it, and we will be able to basically govern the storage of the song and govern the distribution of royalties for that song, and have all of that governance of that content be on chain.
Yes.
Okay. Right, because I think that's what's really important. So what are the things that the content provider cares about? The content provider cares, one, that the song they uploaded to the chain is in fact being stored. They care that when the song is delivered to a person that's requesting it, that the tokens are being charged for that. They care about that the tokens are being distributed to the list of contributors as per the contract that governs that content, right? Those are the three really big things that I think they care about. So they want proof of storage. They want proof that of the plays. They want that to be transparent. And then they want to know that the money has been delivered to the contributors for whatever they set up. I think those are the three really big important things.
And the storage would just be location, so that when things are played, they're played from a given namespace on the chain, right? Basically.
So what we are proposing, I'm meeting with Greg actually in 6 minutes to talk about our plans to store song content on the chain, like a holistic plan, because the Our Song demo kind of just came out of left field, if I can be so candid. It kind of came out of left field to the core development team. We were already, right, we plan our releases 6 to 8 weeks in advance, right? So by the time we talked Node 6 was planned in May. So when Greg says, hey, we've got this deal, I want to put song data on the chain, I'm like, that's great. Node 6 is already planned out, is what I said to him. So now we're taking a step back. Now that we've come back from Archon 3, we're taking a step. We're saying, okay, to store the kind of song content we need on chain, what are the things that really need to be done? What are the use cases? And then we come up with a technical solution. I'm meeting with Greg in 5 minutes to review that with Mike and Kyle. And that's one of the reasons why I joined this call, to just kind of get a sense from all of you how the project is proceeding, progressing, et cetera, et cetera. So,
well, usually we have Peter here to sort of moderate. So today is a little bit of a funny day, but hopefully we give you a sense. Is there anything else that you want to ask us before you have to jump off in a couple of minutes?
No, I think I understand. So one of the things I'd like to kind of like point is that the notion of a song being quote unquote on chain may not actually, so having it be purely on chain may not be what we want, because when something is on chain, it is by default completely public. So what we want to do is we want to kind of acknowledge that copyright holders will want to have some kind of separate governance of the content, the binary content itself.
Well,
right?
here's the benefit, Meta, is that it'll be encoded, and the only way that it'll be able to be decoded is through the Resonate app.
Okay.
So,
that's good to know.
Yeah, so it's not going to be in any in the clear, open platform accessible mechanism to playback.
Our intention is to develop storage as a service. So what that will mean is there will be a storage service that is governed by the chain, right? So that is what we have designed. There are some technical challenges with storing the data on chain within the tuple space, because then what happens is you get into the slippery slope of, well, what happens if I store a really large contract on chain? How do I charge for that versus how do I charge for binary song data, right? From a computer's perspective, the two look very similar. Or versus if I store PDF, right? So the song data has very specific requirements associated with it. Not that different than if I wanted to deliver an ebook, right? But it is different than an actual contract, right? So Roland contracts also have size. They also are stored. And there's a specific computational storage cost that it will be separate and different from a file storage cost. And we needed to separate those two concerns. So I'm getting kind of in the weeds in terms of the technical
Sorry.
Really good to know.
nuances.
I had a quick question. Is that because the rolling contracts are written in that language, or is there like some different way of storing them that makes them cost a different amount?
No, I mean, when you write a computer program, the computer program is like a Word document and it has a certain amount of size associated with it, right? And a Roland contract is like a computer program. And so if I write a really big, complicated Roland contract, that's going to take up disk space on the machines that are running it, or on the validating nodes. And so the validators have to store it, like they actually have to store it so they can run it, right? So when you install an application on your phone, it takes up space. Seems reasonable. And in order to run it, you have to store it. Otherwise, it doesn't know what to run.
Right. I was just wondering what the reason is that the rolling contracts have a different sort of like price scale or price system than other things that are non-rolling.
Oh, because if you think about it, the rolling contracts are pretty small, right? So if I pay the same pricing for a rolling contract to a song, the song would become completely unaffordable.
You're basically saying because they're so efficient.
Yeah, it's kind of like,
well, it's storing a cert or a tic tac versus storing a car.
Right.
Exactly. And you don't want to charge the same price for a tic tac as a car, because the tic tac is fundamentally different than the car.
That'd be one real good tic tac.
Yeah. That makes sense.
The tic tac value a car, actually. But
that sounds fun.
Wonderful.
Okay. So that's kind of where we are from a technical perspective. I mean, Greg wants to make it more affordable for artists to store song content on chain. But it's kind of like, imagine if you're buying real estate in Malibu, right? And the tuple space or the execution space in the blockchain is like Malibu. You don't need to store all of your song data, right, on beachfront property in Malibu. What you need to store there are the governance contracts that deliver the money.
Yeah.
The song itself can be stored, right? You can store that elsewhere, and that can be a lot more affordable. So that's what we're trying to do, so that it doesn't become super expensive to store songs on chain.
Well, awesome. Thank you so much for clarifying all that.
Well, thank you. I have to drop off now. So
Thanks,
have
Meta.
a great weekend, everyone.
Thanks for joining.
Join us again next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Well, she's great.
That was good. Jonathan, welcome. And over to Daryl. Shall we, is there anything else that we need to be?
I have a question. So
okay.
in the realms of metadata and everything that we're talking about, embedding metadata into IP, is this A, something that we are going to create from scratch? B, does it exist? C, are you looking at Rune as an example to be able to bring on board? Because ultimately, everything attached to the IP of this, and of course, mycelia being a major part of it. I just want to know, Steve, what are you thinking about when it comes down to the depth of data that would be attached to a virtual asset? And when I'm talking about a song, it could be a YouTube video. So across the board, it's the entire spectrum of entertainment content that we're talking about.
Yeah, the simplest level is the concept of stamping a given piece of content with your creative passport, and that's bidirectional. So there can be a unique identifier for your tracks. This is another vision of if you have expanded rights that you want to give. Like, for instance, if you lay down a bass track in a studio, the vision that I have is that in basically have a replacement for WAV files in this new world. And the replacement for WAV files can't even be saved without being stamped with a creative passport.
Nice.
And once you do that, then it is inextricably linked.
Right, or at least the content can be deployed onto a platform.
Well, yeah, and that wants to take advantage of this bigger picture. That's the deal. And so the structure, and this is all doable with technology that exists today. It's just a matter of implementing it. So, for instance, if you lay down a baseline, and I have a concept for how all of this can be generated in a user interface. You stamp the file with the bass player's creative passport. If they would like to expand their rights such that this performance is available for sampling later, someone can, through this user interface, see the particular line of the bass line and actually drag and drop onto a DAW that bass line that they can use, and the information, the creative passport stamp is regenerated within it. So it becomes actually not a compressed version, but from if you have agreed to let your performance be sampled, for instance, then there would be a full resolution file available at some point that is what gets plugged into your DAW.
Got it. This is similar to what it's akin to, look, Beatport and a whole world of other providers.
And Splice and that type of thing. Yeah.
It's the standards that are available, but the data is put into it, which makes it easier for
it integrate. That's why the WAV file replacement in this new and again, this is another example where the qualification has always been, if you have a really good database, you can do this. And we've never had a really good database. So this is where our chain becomes an enabler of dreams and visions, which we've had for decades.
And I hear you, man. I hear you.
Yeah, and this is the really exciting crux of the issue, is that now when your bass line has been sampled by someone else and they put it into a master and put it through the same process, whenever the smart contract is run, you get paid for those downstream derivative works as well.
Exactly.
And so the Amen break has been one of the things that's been example of it's in like every hip hop song that's been in countless sample tracks, and it's off the back of a 45. If that guy had this potential, they don't have to worry about anything pretty much. So this is a new horizon. It's basically on pure wilderness. We're going into a place that no one's ever been, and no one's been able to be, because it's going over a hill and seeing a valley that's fertile and ready to civilize. And so I'm happy with leaving the city of beautiful things that we've come from and build a new city on rock and roll.
Yes, bring on Jefferson Airplane. But yes,
Okay. So anyway, did that answer your question? Because the concepts exist. It's a matter of application, implementation, and the like.
And everything really starts with mycelia as being the first primary zone of where the databasing technology has already started to be creative.
Yes.
And through that, it's going to be the expansion of much more deeper information, depending on how deep we can go in creating the grids for what the database can provide, going from digital identity, who's playing what, microphones and reverbs, and the eventuality of everything else that is associated within the music industry that ties itself back to that creative passport.
And a lot of this is going to be happening evolutionarily.
Yeah, of course.
It's agricultural timeframes.
Yep.
We finally have a seed that is sprouted. We don't have apples from that tree, but the DNA is there that with proper tending and attention, then we have an orchard.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to avoid the desire to pluck the seedling from the ground and say, okay, good, now we can.
I get that. I think everyone gets that. And I think especially after everyone being in Berlin together, everyone recognizes how much more work there is to be done, because so much of it still lives in the dream space, and it is about the teams that are forming in order to start building a lot of these things. So there's a lot to be done. Yeah,
the Imaginaria, is not quite collapsed into reality, but it has to be again tended. Okay.
Super.
Thanks.
Thank you. One last question. Where are these archival videos of our Friday morning calls living?
They might have been taken down. I don't know.
Oh.
They used to be on YouTube. And I can find the thing and send you a link. Maybe not, Joe, somebody else knows better, but
they're not on there anymore. They were on the Resonate YouTube channel, but they're gone now.
Okay. All right.
So, Jonathan.
Wait. What do you mean they're gone? I'm looking at them right. Wait, they are. Wait, what the fuck? Why were they all deleted?
I think they were just made not public. For conversations that were happening in the past, but sort of.
Okay. I see. Okay. No, they're all there.
Everything.
They're all set to private. I see. Okay.
Yeah. So because they need to be reviewed for.
I was gonna say, it's like, you can't be just deleting stuff. Like, no, what? Okay.
Yeah, wrong word. Sorry.
Yeah, so Jonathan has a question of, maybe this was covered earlier, but what happened in regards to our Chain Resonate song in Sweden last weekend? So I don't know if anyone on this call knows anything about that. And
I don't think we were in Sweden. That's news to me.
Peter was in Copenhagen with imaging.
Okay.
And so that was another evolutionary meeting that was supposed to happen, as far as I heard.
I think Peter probably would have been able to comment on that, but he is not here. So.
He has family issues this morning. Yeah. So, anything else burning, or shall we call it?
I think we're good for this week.
Sweet. Thank you all.
Be well, everyone.
See ya.
Bye, guys.
Bye, all.
Bye-bye.